Hello, good morning everyone. Today we are going to discussing about types of threats and its prevention. Types of threats. You know what is a threat? First types of threat is virus, which return intentionally to damage the data and file on a system. Viruses are small programs that are written intentionally to damage the data and files on a system. These programs are spread from one computer system to another, which interrupts the normal functioning of a computer. Viruses can attack any part of a computer's software, such as operating system, files, etc. Okay, viruses are broadly classified into three types: file infector viruses, boot sector viruses, macro viruses. File infector viruses that attach themselves to a program file. Boot sector viruses that install themselves in boot sectors of hard drive. Macro viruses, they infect data files and corrupt the data. These are the three types of viruses. Then characteristics of viruses: speed of a computer system becomes slower, computer system frequently hang up, computer restarts automatically after every few minutes. Different characteristics are there. Different prevention methods also there. Like use antivirus software to permanently remove viruses, always scan pen drives and other secondary storage devices, frequently update your computer system, etc. Okay, all these are the different prevention methods from viruses. Actually, this is your seminar topic and most familiar topic. Its contents are very easy. I will not explain much more. You can refer your supplement textbook page number 8.42 onwards. Okay, next is worms. A worm is a self-replicating program that runs independently and travels across network connections. The characteristics of viruses and worms are more or less same, but a worm causes more damage than virus. Then its characteristics of worms are: it's replicate itself, then it spreads across network through email, instant messaging or junk mails, etc. Worms run independently. Then its various types are email worms, instant messaging worms, internet worms, file sharing network worms, etc. What is email worms? Worms spread through any email which contains any file attachment or link to any infected website. Instant messaging worms. Worms spread through instant messaging across the network by sending mails to infected website. Then internet worms. The infected worms will use the contact list of the user's chat room profile or instant message program to send links to infected websites. Then file sharing network worms are: these types of worms are downloaded along with the required files downloaded by the user. A user is not aware about this worm, and therefore when the user downloads any file, the worm will copy itself into a shared folder with an unassuming name. Then the damage caused by worms are: a worm may corrupt the files on the host computer. It may affect communication between the host and other systems. Bulk email chaining can be created with an intention to guess email passwords, etc. Next type of threat is Trojan horse. A Trojan horse is a kind of virus that looks safe but has hidden effects. It is a hidden code in a program, such as a game or a spreadsheet, that can damage the system when running these applications. It can destroy or alter information on a computer system in the background. Unlike viruses, Trojan horse do not replicate themselves, but they are destructive. Okay, its various types are: remote access Trojan horse, data sending Trojan horse, proxy Trojans, FTP Trojans, etc. Trojans are generally spread through email attachments and exchange of disks and information between the computers. Another type of threat is spams. Spam is an unwanted bulk mail which is sent by an unauthorized or unidentified person in order to eat the entire disk space. In non-malicious form, it floods the internet with many copies of the same message to be sent to a user which he may not otherwise receive. Okay, simply we can say that spam refers to electronic junk mail that eats up the entire computer's space, which means if your computer system is affected with these spams, automatically your computer space will reduce. Okay, spams can be avoided by using email filtering, spam traps, etc. Is cookies. Cookies are the messages which are stored by the website on a user's hard disk whenever they visit any website. Cookies are the messages which are stored by the website on a user's hard disk whenever they visit any website. A cookie is also known as an HTTP cookie, web cookie, internet cookie, or browser cookie, etc. When the user browses any website, a cookie identifies users and prepares web pages for them, which are then sent to the web server for later use. Cookie is basically a piece of data that is stored by the website on the user's hard disk. Next is firewall. What is a firewall? It is a software that protects the private network from unauthorized user access. It is a software that protects the private network from unauthorized user access. The firewall filters the information coming from the internet to the network or a computer to protect the system. Firewall exists both as a software solution and as a hardware application. A firewall can use various methods for filtering the informations like packet filtering, proxy service, IP address blocking, protocol blocking, etc. Firewall protects the user from remote logging by others who are not authorized to gain access to the system, application backdoors, email bombs, viruses and macros, spam or junk mails, etc. Okay, firewall protects the user from remote logging by others who are not authorized to gain access to the system, application backdoors, email bombs, viruses and macros, spam or junk mails. Next is India's IT Act. India's IT Act. The Information Technology Act 2000 is an act of the Indian Parliament notified on October 17, 2000. Okay, the Information Technology Act 2000, it is also known as ITA 2000 or the IT Act. Okay, ITA 2000 or the IT Act, it is an act of the Indian Parliament notified on October 17, 2000. Next is cyber law. Cyber law. The law that governs the cyberspace is known as cyber law. Cyber law defines all the legal and regulatory aspects of internet and the world wide web. Okay, it defines all the legal and regulatory aspects of internet and the world wide web. The law that governs the cyberspace is known as cyber law. It is the law which deals with various computer related activities. In essence, cyber law is an attempt to apply laws designed for the physical world to human activity on the internet. In India, the IT Act 2000 as amended by the IT Act 2008 is known as the cyber law. Okay, once again I repeating, it is the law which deals with the various computer related activities, and in essence cyber law is an attempt to apply laws designed for the physical world to human activity on the internet. In India, the IT Act 2000 as amended by the IT Act 2008. The IT Act 2000 as amended by the IT Act 2008 is known as the cyber law. Okay, we can move to another important topic, cyber crimes. Cyber crimes. When any crime is committed over the internet, it is referred to as cyber crime. Okay, when any crime is committed over the internet, it is known as cyber crime. There are many types of cyber crimes. We can discuss one by one. First is most familiar type of cyber crime, hacking. Okay, you already familiar with this cybercrime hacking. Gaining knowledge about someone's private and sensitive information by getting access to their computer system illegally is known as hacking. Okay, gaining knowledge about someone's private and sensitive information by getting access to their computer system illegally is known as hacking. Okay, this is different from ethical hacking. What is ethical hacking? Ethical hacking means which many organizations use to check their internet security protection. Okay, that process is known as ethical hacking. It is entirely different from other types of hacking. Next type of cybercrime is theft. Theft occurs when a person downloads music, movies, games and software by violating copyright. You already familiar with copyright, you know that. Theft occurs when a person downloads music, movies, games and softwares by violating copyright. Then cyber stalking. Cyber stalking is a kind of online harassment where the victim gets unwanted abusive online messages and emails. Cyber stalking is a kind of online harassment where the victim gets unwanted abusive online messages and emails. Then identity theft. This has become a major problem with people using the internet for cash transactions and banking services. This has become a major problem with the people using the internet for cash transactions and banking services. In this cybercrime, a criminal accesses data about a person's bank account, credit card, social security card, debit card and other sensitive information to gain money or to buy things online in the victim's name that can result in major financial loss for the victim and even spoil the victim's credit history. Okay, this is known as identity theft. Then malicious software. These are internet based software or programs known as pirated software that are used to disrupt proper functioning of the network. The software is used to steal sensitive information or data that can cause damage to existing software in a computer system. Then another type of cybercrime is child pornography. In this cybercrime, defaulters create, distribute or access materials that sexually exploit underage children. And electronic funds transfer fraud. A cybercrime occurs when there is a transfer of funds which may be intercepted and diverted. Valid credit card numbers can be hacked electronically and then misused by a fraudulent person or organization. Then defamation. It involves a cybercrime with the intent of lowering the dignity of someone by hacking into their email account and sending mails using vulgar language to an unknown person's account. Okay, all these are the different types of cyber crimes. Next is IPR issues. IPR stands for intellectual property rights. Intellectual property rights, which is the right to intangible property such as music, literature and artistic work created by a person. Okay, intellectual property rights, which is the right to intangible property such as music, literature and artistic work created by a person. Intellectual property is a legal term that refers to creations of the mind. Intellectual property rights may be protected by patents, copyrights, industrial design rights, trademarks, etc. Now we can move to another topic, prevention from security threats. There are various methods to protect network threats. First one is authorization. Authorization means to grant a person access to a network for legal use. Okay, once again I repeating, which means to grant a person access to a network for legal use. Another prevention method is authentication. Authentication to determine the identity of a person before granting access to private or sensitive data or information is known as authentication. Okay, to determine the identity of a person before granting access to private or sensitive data or information is known as authentication. Then privacy, the data which is accessible only to an authorized person is known as private data. Then secrecy, hiding some relevant information from an unauthorized person is called secrecy. Then biometric system, you already familiar with this system. Biometric system forms the most secure level of authorization. It involves digital signature, fingerprints, retinal patterns to establish identity. Then password protection, to protect the system or network from an unauthorized person, a system must be password protected. A password protected system allows access to resources based upon a secret word entered by the user. And another one is file permission. A user can give access to a person to read a file, write to a file, open a file, modify a file, etc. A user can give access to a person to read a file, write to a file, open a file, modify a file, etc. Different types of permissions can be given to a specific person according to their authorization. Then firewall, that we already discussed. What is firewall? A firewall is a part of a computer system or network that is designed to block unauthorized access while permitting authorized communication. Now we can discuss some important and most familiar terms related with internet. Okay, first one is website. You know what is website? A website is a collection of several web pages which are related to each other through hyperlinks. Okay, each page of a website is known as web page, and website is a collection of several web pages. Then web browser. What is web browser? It is a software that helps in accessing web pages and thus is also called web client. Okay, it helps the user to navigate through the world wide web and display web pages. Okay, some popular web browsers are Mozilla Firefox, Opera, Google Chrome, etc. You already familiar with different types of web browsers. A web browser is a www client that navigates through the www and displays web pages. Then web server. What is a web server? A web server stores web documents and responds to the request made by the web browsers. A web server is a server that stores web pages, and when a web client sends any request to a server, the server responds to the request and displays the requested web page. Okay, this is known as web server. Then next term is web hosting. What is web hosting? Web hosting is a service which is provided by companies to its clients to allow them to construct their own websites which are accessible to the internet users via World Wide Web. Okay, such companies are known as web hosts. Then once again I repeating, web hosting is a service that is provided by the company to users to create web based application. Next topic is web scripting. What is web scripting? Website scripting is used for creating web pages to publish them on the web interactively. Okay, website scripting is used for creating web pages to publish them on the web interactively. The communication between web browser and web server happens through small programs called web scripts. We already discussed what is web browser and what is web server. The communication between web browser and web server happens through small programs called web scripts. Script is a programming language which when executed displays the web page. Simply we can say that a script is a list of commands embedded in a web page which are executed by a certain program or scripting engine. Mainly web scripting is divided into two types: client side web scripting language and server side web scripting language. Client side web scripting language and server side web scripting language. Client side web scripting language means which enables the user to interact with web pages. Client side scripting enables the user to interact with web pages. The client side scripts are downloaded at the client end and then interpreted and executed by the web browser. Okay, when we develop a website, two end will be there, client side and server side. The client side scripts are downloaded at the client end and then interpreted and executed by the web browser. Okay, different examples also there. Examples for client side scripting languages are JavaScript, VB Script, PHP. Okay, all these are different programming languages. All these programming languages will discuss in the higher classes. Next is server side script. Server side script. Server side scripting gets executed on the server before displaying the information requested. This is the second part of a website, server side script. Server side scripting gets executed on the server before displaying the information requested. Okay, different types of server side scripting languages are there, like ASP, JSP, etc. Active server pages, Java server pages, etc. Okay, more server side script languages will discuss in the higher classes. Next is hypertext markup language, HTML. What is HTML? HTML is a language that is used to create web pages which are then displayed by web browsers. This language tells the browser how to display text, pictures, and links on the screen. HTML is a language that supports multimedia documents and consists of audio, video, graphics, pictures, etc. Okay, once again I repeating, HTML is a language that is used to create web pages which are then displayed by web browsers. HTML is used for creating web pages. Actually, it is a language. It is a markup language that enables users to create web pages and format them using predefined tags. Tags are called coded elements. Okay. Did you see? This is the structure of HTML document. Every HTML document or HTML program should start with HTML. Then there is a header tag, then title. Here one title is given, this is my first page, then title closed, then head also closed, then body. Body is the main part of this HTML program. Body, I am writing my first page using HTML. Here there is a body part also given, then body closed, HTML closed. This is the simple structure of a HTML document. Now we can move to its output. You see, please look into this image. Actually, this is the output of previous HTML program. What was previous HTML program? Title, this is my first web page. Then body, I am writing my first page using HTML. Here one HTML page or one web page is created. Okay, did you see on the top, this is my first page, which means this is the title. Then I am writing my first page using HTML. That text is displayed at the main part of this web page. Actually, that main part is known as body part. Actually, this is the simple structure of an HTML document, a simple example for HTML program. Next is XML, Extensible Markup Language. Extensible Markup Language is a text-based markup language that allows the user to create their own tags to store data in a structured format. Okay, XML is a text-based markup language that allows the user to create their own tags to store data in a structured format. However, these structured formats can be represented in different ways. In XML, the tags are not predefined, rather they are created by the user for their own purpose. Unlike HTML, in XML tags are case sensitive and each tag must have a corresponding closing tag. Then once again I repeating, what is XML? XML is a markup language for creating documents in a structured format. Users can create their own tags along with the predefined tags already defined by HTML. This is also another type of markup language. Structure of XML also given here. Its structure is not important. Structure of XML is not important. You just understand what is extensible markup language. Okay, this is the end of our this network chapter. If you have any doubts regarding today's class, you can contact me, and you please read this chapter well, then only you will get the correct idea about this entire chapter. Okay, thank you. Have a wonderful day.